The graphic novel Watchmen depicts an alternative history in which the United States won the Vietnam War with the help of superheroes. As the U.S. edges closer to a nuclear war with the Soviet Union, the protagonists, former superheroes, try to save the country from nuclear annihilation. In contrast with traditional superhero stories, the characters in Watchmen must battle not only against their enemies, but against their own insecurities and moral shortcomings. The two female characters evoke stereotypes regarding gender and sexuality, which illuminate traditional notions regarding femininity and sexuality and the damaging effects of patriarchy in the corrupt world. Sally Jupiter is the mother of Lori in the original Silk Spectre. She worked as a burlesque dancer before joining the Minutemen in the 1940s and was widely viewed as an alluring sex object. 40 years later, Sally prides herself and her achievements on her sex appeal and ability to manipulate men. In her conversations with Lori, Sally nostalgically reflects on her former sex appeal, proudly showing Lori a pornographic magazine she was featured in back in the 1940s.
Sense of humor. Oh, speaking of which, you remember that guy who writes me letters? He sent me an item of memorabilia. It's a Tijuana Bible, a little 8-page porno comic they did in the 30s and 40s. This one's about me. Oh, God, Mother, this is just gross. Somebody sent you this? Sure. Listen, these things are valuable. Like antiques, $80 and up. I think it's kind of flattering. Flattering? Being reminded that people used to slobber over me? Sure.
In 1940, Sally was sexually assaulted by the comedian, but later began a consensual relationship with him.
Eddie? What the hell are you doing here? You knew I was changing. Sure I did. You announced it loud enough. Come on, baby. I know what you need. You gotta have some reason for wearing an outfit like this, huh? Eddie, no. Sure. No. Spelled Y-E. Spelled N-O. Ah.
She is eventually rescued, but implicitly blamed and told not to press charges for fear of tarnishing the group's reputation. Sally's story reflects a time period in which women, especially sexually active women, were often blamed for their own sexual assault. Sally internalizes this notion when she explains that although she knows rape is a crime, she felt somewhat responsible.
Get up. And for God's sake, cover yourself.
Lori, the main female protagonist in Second Silk Spectre, embodies the archetypal modern woman. She considers herself a feminist and rejects her mother's use of sexual appeal to gain status.
This is vile. Mother? I said, doesn't this sleazeball image bother you? Honestly, Mother?
Before the superheroes were outlawed, Lori had a relationship with Dr. Manhattan, whom she later left for Night Owl. Although Lori rejects the idea of sexuality being a woman's only tool for mobility, her actions in the novel contradict this belief. Her sex life becomes a significant focus among the group, and it appears that her main purpose is to serve as a companion and potential love interest. Despite being a superhero, she embodies the stereotypical female characteristics of being fun-loving, sensitive, and hopelessly romantic.
Yes, Lori.
I feel cooped up sometimes. Maybe I could use a night out. You know, Rorschach mentioned Dan Dryberg. We haven't seen Dan in years. Maybe I'll call him up, ask him out to dinner, if you don't mind, that is.
Of course not. I'd join you, but I think I'm close to locating a gluino, which would completely validate supersymmetrical.
That's fascinating. I'll call Dan. Hello, Dan. Lori. Lori Uspecic.
It seems that Moore used the female protagonists Lori and Sally to critique society's ideals regarding women. The two characters are very different, yet both their characterizations are dependent on gender stereotypes. This reflects the idea that despite a woman entering into the untraditional world of superheroism, she will always be judged according to the traditional ideals of dominant society.